Welcome back for another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to hook up an air blower to your biofilter. First off, here's the type of filter we're referring to. It's a biofilter, like one of these. There's different brands like an Aquadyne filter, an Aqua Ultima, GC Tech. There's different ones. You can even get a pool filter and retrofit it to do the same thing. They're pretty much all similar. They have a similar kind of housing, similar kind of mechanism at the top where you have the backwash, the filtration mechanism. The inside is different and sometimes the media is different. So like if you buy a pool filter and it's got the sand in there, all you got to take it out. You got to take that out and then put some biomedia in there, and then you can get it to work. Otherwise, these are all pretty much the same, and then the blower will work pretty much the same on all of them. Before we get started on how to install one on here, so I already have one. I'm not going to install one on here. I'm just going to show you two different ways to install it on here. But before we get into that, do you actually need an air blower on your filter? No, but it is highly recommended. So what happens over time is all the media inside your filter starts to get all the gunk in it, and it starts to clump up. And over time, if it's not backwashed regularly, so one way to not have to have an air blower is to backwash it every week, but typically this can still happen as well, as the media just starts to clump up and build clogs of media that every time you backwash it, that doesn't get filtered out, and it stops catching gunk from the koi pond, so it just sits there as a clump of media in here. So what the air blower does, like one of these guys right here, is basically shoots a bunch of air into the filter and stirs it up. So it stirs up all that media and then allows all that gunk to go out. Another option is you can have a variable speed pump. This is just a single speed, but if you have a variable speed pump and when you backwash it and increase the speed of the pump, that can also help in terms of breaking the media apart in there. But typically it's best to just go with an air blower because that's what its purpose is. It's served to break up that media so that the filter material inside the filter can do its job in terms of catching gunk and allowing beneficial bacteria to grow in it. So that's what those are pretty much for. The first way to install it is, as you can see here, as I have it on mine, this filter actually came with it pre-installed. So if you buy a new filter and you don't want to void the warranty, I wouldn't do it this way. But if you buy like a pool filter and you want to spend the extra time and a little extra money on doing it this way, then it should perform a lot better than the other way I'm going to show you. Otherwise, what you're pretty much going to do is you're going to have a bulkhead fitting. You have to take out all the media from the filter. You're going to drill a hole in there and you're going to put a bulkhead fitting at the bottom, and then you're going to angle it up just with simple PVC pipe. You can make it go farther if you need, depending on your setup, but this just goes from a 90 to a 45 up to here. And then you have a check valve. So the purpose of the check valve is to prevent water from going up into the air blower, because if water gets in here, that's going to basically destroy the whole motor and everything in there. And then you also have a backup ball valve in case this one fails. You can do it with just the ball valve if you want, and every time you turn it on, you plug it in, turn this on, and then you open it up so it shoots out so the water doesn't come up. And then before you turn it off, you'll turn this off, close it off. But these are basically two safety mechanisms to prevent water from going in there. And then like on here, these don't have to be attached. I don't think this one might be screwed, but you don't have to, no, it's not. But anyway, you don't have to attach the top of the blower, so you can take this off and put it somewhere else while you don't use it. As for me, I just put a bucket over it to protect it from the sun and the elements and so forth, instead of storing it somewhere. So that's pretty much the one way. Fairly simple in terms of plumbing and everything. The tough part is going to be drilling that hole and getting it through there and making sure it doesn't leak. You're going to put some silicone and whatnot. You might not have to, depending on the gasket and stuff like that, but that's the one way. Just directly straight into the bottom of the filter, which will stir that all apart. Not directly to the bottom. This is like a drain. This one's going to the side of it, but that stirs up all the media, allowing it to break apart and then go out the backwash. So that's the general setup right there. You got the blower, a check valve and everything, so you can take things apart. I mean, a check valve, a union on a ball valve, and then a unionized check valve over here, and some plumbing and a bulkhead right into the side of the filter. The second way to install the air blower is to install it on the input from the pump into your filter. So the pump is pumping water from here, going this way and into the filter over here, and then the water goes down. So how you would install the air blower is, if you have space vertically here, you can do it this way. So I'm just using a bunch of parts I have lying around to show you. So this other way is pretty much going to involve similar parts over there, but you're going to be going into this pipe right here, which is coming from the pump itself. So right here, I have some parts that are just cut from lying around. I'm not going to be attaching anything on here in this video because I already have one installed on mine. But otherwise, what you'll need is a T and a check valve. You could do it with a, let's call it, gate valve if you want. And basically what you do is you cut into here, like so, and install the T right here. You can install a gate valve right there, which is to close off the water and so forth. Then you have a check valve. Make sure the valve is for the air flowing down and the water is going to be stopped from going up. And then from there, you'll just put a piece of PVC and attach this guy on top, just like so. And then you can take this off when you don't need it, because you don't need to glue this. I wouldn't glue this onto the thing. It's not needed to glue the air blower on there, but that's pretty much that setup. Another way is forget about this gate valve right there. Instead of the gate valve, you will put a ball valve like that, and then from that ball valve you'll stick this guy on top, just like so. So there's a few ways to do that. In addition to that same kind of idea, you can just put the T in a ball valve, and then on top you put that air blower. Basically these two, and then like so. This is just eliminating the check valve there. You just got to make sure that you turn the air blower on before you open this valve. So you always want to keep this closed until you turn that air blower on, so that water doesn't go up into here. Because you're going to turn the pump off when you do clean it out, but it can still go up. You don't want to risk that, breaking a $300 unit, or depending on how much they are. Another way, if you're limited to space, say you have your pump in a pump housing and it's kind of lower down, another way you do it is you take the T and you go down instead. You get some 90s and so forth. You can go lower. This is just going to go here for demonstration purposes, like so. So you can go lower and put it somewhere else, and then from there you put that check valve right on top, like so. Forgive me for not having the exact parts. I looked around. Well, here's an example. Here's a smaller check valve. So you get the check valve. Make sure you get it the right way. This is a spring check valve. So there's two different styles. This is a spring, which typically would work better. Can't really notice that, but it's a spring in there, versus this one over here is a flap. I'll give you close up. See, so that's like a flap right there. And then this one over here has got a spring, so it automatically just closes up. So those are the two different styles. The spring is better. It is the one that the one on mine has a spring as well. Otherwise, in terms of this setup, you have it like that. You go to that check valve right here, then from that check valve you can go to the ball valve, and then from that ball valve you go to the air pump. So if anything, if you're gonna want to save money on not having one of these, you don't need to use the check valve. The ball valve definitely for sure, just because that one is completely secured off. Check valves can fail over time. I mean, ball valves can as well, but it closes off better. But those are the two different ways. This way over here has multiple ways to set it up based on your space and parameters, and then the way into the... So doing it this way is a little more risky, just because you're drilling into the main unit. It's gonna be pressurized and everything in there. Well, that's all gonna be pressurized, but you can glue that versus just having a bulkhead with a gasket and everything. And as I said, if you buy a new filter, definitely don't do it on the new filter, because it's gonna void the warranty and everything on it. If it's a used filter, it's no problem, and it's not too hard to do. Otherwise, also one other thing you want to make sure you have is right over here is a ball valve. You don't have to actually have this. It's recommended though. Whenever you do the backwash, you close this so the air doesn't come this way and back into the filter housing. Mine is broken, so I don't even bother to close this anymore, just because the ball valve was so tight that both sides snapped, and when I would try to open it, close it. So I just leave that, and what happens is the air just shoots through here and it just bubbles out through here. So I don't get as much air in the filter because it's coming this way. So if you want maximum input from the air, just have a ball valve so you close it off, so it only goes this way. You might have some leakage out of this area over here, which is going back to the pond. So this is the input, this is the output back to the pond, and that's the backwash, and that gasket in there will fail over time. So that's just a matter of when and how much air is going to go through. That's why also on the backwash you always want to have a ball valve, just to be safe, because you don't want your pond to drain overnight because a gasket fails in here. So just to quickly sum it up again, you have that style over there, which goes from the air blower to a ball valve to a check valve, down over here to a bulkhead fitting into the side of the filter. Or you have this style, which typically you'll always need a T, some sort of closing mechanism, either a gate valve or a ball valve, and a check valve, and then you'll have that air blower like so, which goes on top. And most of these air blowers have a so you can leave them plugged in. Most of them have a little switch on here, which makes it easier for backwashing, because you're gonna, when you backwash, you're not gonna leave it on all the time. You're gonna turn it off, let it settle, turn it on again, basically to invigorate everything and stir it up. That's pretty much the mechanism. Got the T, some either valve, that or this, check valve, and then so forth. And definitely make sure on the check valve you put it in the right way, so you can just flow. Most of them have arrows on it, so the flow on them is going to be which way the air is blowing. So the water is going to get blocked off on this check valve. You can see that, or like this spring check valve. I can't really show, but you get the idea. Well, that sums up this video. Unfortunately, I can't show you exactly how to like cut and glue and all that kind of stuff, since I already have an air blower on my filter, but hopefully you got the general idea from me showing you how it would be set up. If you know another way to set up an air blower on your filter, leave that in the comments so others can check that out. Also, I'll post a link to in the description for blowers that you can get on Amazon. I'll look for some and then post them in the description if you want to check those out. If you like this video, remember to check out this video up here. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.